become better and that we're on the track to win. Lastly, could our core officers please stand up? Those are our secretaries, treasurers, presidents, vice presidents, and whatnot. Guys, these are the people who are working days and nights, and really lots and lots of nights, in order to make sure that we can do what we do best, which is going and building awesome robots. Okay? Now today, Robojackets, we are huge. We are, as you can see, getting an influx of new members and really perfecting what we do, which is build robots. We are at 5 different teams and really do awesome stuff. But as time goes by, we are nearing our 20th year of being Robojackets, okay? And in the spirit, we're going through some tremendous growth, right? We have started out as just some enthusiasts and grown into this organization, which we are today. And today, guys, I have the great pleasure of presenting one of the founders of Robojackets, one of the people who truly went in and started this great organization. And his name is Damon Padgett. To put some background, Damon was one of the founding fathers of Robojackets. He was on the BattleBots team. After he has graduated from Tech, he has went into the industry also in robotics, where he was developing law enforcement robots, okay? And today he will tell us, first of all, a brief history of how Robojackets began, and then give us some insights from his experience in the robotics industry. Thank you, Damon. You can go.
Again, good evening, Robojackets!
Good evening! Hi!
Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Well, it's awesome to see so many people here. I mean, like I said, or like Daniel said, it wasn't, well, I'll get into it later, but it wasn't like this, obviously. So it's awesome to see so much growth and so much enthusiasm for build robots, because I like building robots, so I'm assuming you guys like building robots. So anyways, I got a little presentation that I put together for you, and of course the name of it is Robojackets, how it all began, and other nuggets of wisdom. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to begin by saying, I'm a born-again believer in Christ. Okay, I say that, I mention that not to offend those of you who are not, but to give you an idea or some background to how I came to being here to present for you tonight. Okay? And give you some context. So, a little bit about my background. Oh, wait, hold on. Am I too far? Oh, wait. Yeah, all right. So that's me, who is Damon Padgett, right? So a little bit about my background. I'm a native Georgian, born and raised in Marietta. I'm the second product of a carpenter father and an arts and crafts mother. I have an older brother who's highly skilled with his hands. I'm a 70s and 80s baby, I call myself that, who grew up spending countless hours in front of the TV, all while playing my Lego set. Every show that I watched, it seems, had some sort of sci-fi or robotic thing to it. From, let me see if it'll click, from one of my favorites. Let's see if it goes up. All right, I might have you get it. Jet Jaguar. I don't know if anybody, does anybody here recognize that? All right, we got one. Godzilla fan. If you're a Godzilla fan, you know who he is. Jet Jaguar. Click the next one for me. Mecha Godzilla. Click the next one. Sorry, that's how you go. Anybody recognize this one? Maybe I'll give you a prize. It would be pretty hard if you got it. Star Vendors. Let's see what else. Is it on the other display? Can you see the mouth? Sorry, folks. No. Or here, actually, is this wrong? No, maybe I'll say. I have a lot of slides, so I don't want to. Anybody recognize this one? Prize. Oh wait, what is it? Yeah, I think the American version is Transport Z, but yeah. Who recognizes that? No. Netflix just had they just redid the series a little while ago. Nope. It's Voltron. All right, anybody recognize that one? Find a little tribute. All right. That was pretty obvious, Robojackets. This one's a hard one. Maybe I'll give like a prize, a monetary prize. Anybody? Saber Riders. I know you guys know this. Anybody? Oh, that was kind of obvious. What? Anybody guess who that is? It's actually before Bill Nye. Anybody, any guess? Like Mr. Rogers, it's Mr. Wizard. It was on Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon had better programming back then. Amen. Okay. So those are the shows I watched. Okay, so at a very early age, I was determined to have a career where I would be able to create such awesome tech. I wanted to make the robots that I saw on TV into reality. So the only career path for me had to be engineering, and specifically for me, mechanical engineering. Okay, fast forward to high school graduation. I'm praying to make it into college. I get accepted to Georgia Southern University and enrolled in the Regis Engineering Transfer Program. This would later allow me to transfer to Georgia Tech. I arrived at Tech stoked to finally get to hang around some of the sci-fi nerds who like to build stuff like myself. Greatly to my disappointment, many of my classmates only wanted to be an engineer to make a lot of money. Not because they had a passion to create. Can you imagine arriving at GT and not being able to find others who are as excited about creating something as you are? It was rough. I spent many a weekend testing my RC experiments alone. Okay. Then I heard of Robot Wars on the internet. Has anybody heard of Robot Wars? Okay. Robot Wars is pre-BattleBots. A competitive robotic competition. I thought it would be an awesome opportunity to take part in it. And then something amazing happened. GT Georgia Tech would offer a Robot Wars class. So I know you guys don't have that in your curriculum now, but we had a Robot Wars class. It was 2 quarters. So, like I said, sign me up. So I got signed up for it. So the idea for the class, headed by Dr. Harvey Lipkin and TA Brad Gavin, was that it would be a 2 quarters class. The first quarter, several teams would create robot designs, and at the end of the quarter, the designs would be reviewed, and the best design would be built the next quarter. Surprisingly, my team's design, which I kind of spearheaded, was not selected and was not highly favored. It was a pretty big blow. And it turns out, though, the people whose design was selected lost interest for the next quarter, or got busy, come the second quarter and bailed. Okay. Well, since I was still around and available to build, we opted to scrap the winning design and build my team's robot. And over the course of 3 months or so, Stinger was born. Okay. Now's a good time to talk about Brad Gavin, the actual founder of Robojackets organization. I contacted him earlier this week to ask him about how the club actually came into being. And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to, here's Brad. This is Brad. His graduation picture and then a more recent picture. So what we're going to do right now is, I'm going to go. So I emailed him, and he sent me an email, gave me the story firsthand. I was there with him, but I was building, just to give you a little background, I graduated, and I'll tell you some more in a second. I left, and he actually began the club right after I left. Okay, so there was an IEEE competition. This is Brad speaking. There was an IEEE competition where we had to make a small robot that shot out plates designed to cover holes in the floor. When the plate shooting mechanism was made with too much power, someone remarked that we could always just use it in robot wars. Everybody laughed, except a couple of us who thought it was actually a great idea. I wanted to go forward with the idea of doing robot wars. Remember, robot wars went bankrupt after BattleBots arose from the ashes, but didn't really have the time. So I got Dr. Harvey Lipkin, who was working for us as an undergraduate researcher, to sponsor a senior design class to come up with ideas. The second class in the semester would actually build one of the designs from the first class. So that was what I was talking about a moment ago. The second class was a major fail. It was a major fail though. And I was left looking for a way to get the thing built. Experiencing that failure is when I had the idea for making a competitive robotics club. It just dawned on me that as mechanical engineers, we had no outlet to actually build robots. Other schools like Carnegie Mellon seemed to be eating our lunch in terms of hardware development. We were doing great with controls, AI, software development, but not so much in hardware, at least not that I knew of. I thought a club could fill the void and give students a chance to build robots. I knew it had to be a competition club because competitions are so important for motivation, focus, instant feedback on whether you did a good job or not. The timing of everything from that point is a bit murky. I actually forget when I met you, speaking about me. But just remember diving in to build a Stinger when we found out about BattleBot's schedule. I think we went about starting the club simultaneously to building Stinger. And these are pictures of us building Stinger. And then used Stinger to pitch the idea to SGA and the Georgia Tech Student Foundation for funding. Remember when we submitted to BattleBots a photo of Stinger that had no internal organs and was not even yet held together as proof that we had a working robot? In terms of starting the club, I had to start first from a mechanical engineering anchor to get it started, but hoped it would grow across disciplines as it matured. The ME department was awesome in supporting the idea. Anything I needed, they were there to find a solution, giving us room in the basement of Kuhn, a bit of funding, some tools, and machine shop access and moral support for when I had to present to SGA and the Georgia Tech Student Foundation. I'm very thankful that the ME School of Leadership was so forward-looking in their vision. But when I met you, speaking about me, I realized just how perfect the idea actually was. You were instantly committed and you knew how to make the hardware. You were the epitome of why we needed a robotics club, and your involvement gave me comfort that there had to be others like you out there. One thing I'm very proud of is that in a discipline that was underrepresented by women, we had women as the vice president, secretary, promotions chair, team lead, and faculty club advisor. I was the only male found in the founding leadership. Little nuggets there. All right. These are just some other. There's Brad again holding the chassis. There's some of the drive. I look back at the pictures in me, of course. The robot we built, it was all from Home Depot. All the stuff was from Home Depot. This was back in 1999. I wasn't all that familiar with big master car and small parts and all these things that I know where I can get parts from now. My dad was a carpenter, so I've been out in the shop. I built many things out of aluminum, furniture, crazy stuff. I like tanks, so that's why That's why as a track robot, Brad got the belt. He got some belting company to donate a roll of belting, and we chopped it up. I wanted tracks so bad I wanted tread so bad on the tank that we got bicycle tires, like mountain bike tires. Took it and I cut out a piece of the track and glued them onto a piece of rubber. I was obsessed. Yeah. These are pictures of Stinger after BattleBots. It's hard to see, but we had the guy who bent our front to autograph it, and then I painted it black because they were going to use it as kind of like when you guys have like events, those events out on the walkway. Yeah. So I painted it black, try to make it look a little nicer. Anyways, that's Stinger. All right. Off to the arena. BattleBots. I graduated on August 13th, 1999, and flew out to Long Beach, California to spend the weekend at a competitive robotics competition known as BattleBots. It was stressful and amazing at the same time. I like that picture I took here from the plane. That's Brad at the airport. Our official battle record was 1 win by DQ. And 2 losses, with our second loss being to a young Lisa Winters and Tenamushi. If you guys know who Lisa Winters is. Does anybody know who Lisa Winters is?
Is that the precursor to Megan?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tenamushi, that's Lisa right there in the chair, and that's us next to her. Well, that's, I don't know, that's Stinger. She was a crowd favorite at the time. It was a close fight, but she was, like I said, she was a crowd favorite. Despite our loss, it was still great to see so many robots that we had been following on the internet and up close and personal. Of course, that's some other pictures of Stinger. What's that?
Is that a giant chainsaw?
Huh?
Is that a spin blade?
On Nightmare?
Yeah.
No, it's just a big old blade. It's just a big old piece of metal. Big old piece.
Okay.
That's Razor, which is, and you know Warhead, right?
Yeah.
That's the builder. I don't remember the rest. This guy right here, his name is Mark Thorpe. He's actually the guy who made the Robot War. Anybody know who that is? It's kind of hard to see, man. Yeah. Granny Mara and Deadwood. That's the Warhead builders again. Of course, you know who that is, right? I can't remember the name of that. But they were there competing.
Yep.
This was actually a walking robot. Had little round feet. Has anybody seen this robot before? Yeah. Megadon. Pretty cool. And then Razor again. And that was it. Okay, so Robojackets begin. So after Brad and I returned, I went on to seek employment, and he got busy establishing the organization. And what we're going to show right here is actually their first meeting in PowerPoint. So this is the first meeting. Robojackets, Competitive Robotics Club, Brad Gavin, President, Erica Houghton, Vice President. All right, their agenda for 11/21/99. Purpose of the club, description of projects, sources of funding, plans for self-sufficiency, and summary. All right, so the purpose of the club, to compete in robotic competitions. Okay, I think you guys are doing that. To promote Georgia Tech and the robotics community. I think that's being accomplished. To promote robotics in the Georgia Tech community. To give students an added outlet for obtaining hands-on experience, which is vital to their education. To provide fun, informative projects to the surrounding community. And I believe all those goals have been met. Projects in order of highest to lowest priority and cost. BattleBots, of course, that was our first project. You see the cost there was $2,235. and most of the stuff on Stinger was donated, except for some of the stuff that we bought. Combative robotics, build a robot with the main purpose of immobilizing other robots that are trying to immobilize it. Present a tough engineering challenge, incorporating many aspects of robotics. This is the club's main event that we'll focus on each year. DragonCon, $1,095. Combative robotics on a smaller scale than BattleBots. This is a local event and will cost less because of this. Because of the lower cost and smaller scale, more people will be able to work on more robots. And then HC11, which is a walking robot, is a hexaped walker, I think. Robotics design, research and build a computer-controlled walking robot. This project will provide much-needed information on how to build a walking robot for future competitions, as well as to give less knowledgeable students exposure to robotics on a simple level. So that was pretty cool. Planning. Notice that you are here, right? You see growth and you see time. That was where we were. You guys up there. Sources of funding. Dudes, we're trying to get $400 a semester. ME administration to share. Simple tools, $1,500. Free computers, $6,000. Space and Coon. And then SGA. Corporate funding, fundraiser, walking robot, and member contributions. Planning for the future. To use money from Georgia Tech Student Foundation to fund these startup projects. Show companies what we do in order to solicit contributions, videos, and brochures. Which I don't know if you guys have videos and brochures. I'll ask about that. I'm sure you guys do. Receive money from SGA annually. Do fundraising on our own. And then our future goals are host our own robotics competition, save for our own machine shop, and take part in RoboSoccer and other high-profile events. And then summary, startup funds, you see robotic projects, increase student interest, which I believe we've accomplished that, school support, corporate sponsorship, and long-lasting club. Let's give our hand for a long-lasting club. All right, so there have been many amazing people who have come through this organization, both male, female, as well as people from other diverse backgrounds. Our very logo, RoboBuzz, was created by a member named Austin Chin. I tried to reach out to Austin to hear a story behind that, but I hadn't heard back from him. Okay, so post-graduation. Upon graduation, I had dreams and goals of working for a company here in Georgia that made cool stuff. Turns out all the companies that I wanted to work for were the West Coast or up north, and I did not want to move. So I wound up taking a contract draftsman position at a local company until my contract ended. After that, I wound up working for my church for 3 years as a facilities manager. Basically, I was in charge of almost everything pertaining to the building and upkeep and maintenance of buildings. Seeing that I could not find an outlet for my creativity here in Georgia, I decided I would make my own. So Tactical Robotics Solutions Incorporated was born in 2004 with the purpose to create less lethal mobile robotic platforms for law enforcement. TRS is 2 official robots for the Badger and the Spider models. This is the Badger here. Anybody recognize that? It's a Traxxas Emax. And then the Spider. That's the Spider. I acquired the parts to build and modify these 2 robots through a relationship that I had established with a detective named Steve Bronner. We met at Hobbytown, USA, where I used to work, and we would talk about robots being used in law enforcement. Then one day, after work, the detective called me and asked if the police or FBI could use one of my RC experiments to search an apartment for some suspected bank robbers were hiding. So I brought them my RC tank with my video camera. That's the tank with the camera. Okay, that's the tank with the camera, and then this is that's a picture actually at the call out. So I brought my RC tank with the video camera attached, and they sent it in. So through this relationship, the police department later provided me with some surplus wheelchair motors, Traxxas Emax, and a paintball gun to make the purpose-built set of robots. So that's what you saw. This is actually pictures. On the far left and the bottom, that's Detective Steve Bronner, or he was a detective. He's retired now. Okay, so over the years, I built and rebuilt quite a few mobile robots for Cobb County and a police technology distributor enforcement technology group. Unfortunately, building robots is expensive, and I was never able to get beyond the prototype stage to a fully developed product. I can say that it's been an interesting journey, and I've picked up numerous skills along the way. Robojackets has had a part in it because I purchased my back informer from a former member, Logan Snow. Thanks again, Logan. So those are just some pictures of some of the robots that I built. This was actually the last robot I built for a company out in Wisconsin, I think. It's actually probably one of the best robots that I've built so far, but I no longer have it, and I'm working on something else. This was actually at the tin building before. I guess, is it still there? Or is it here?
They tore it down so hard.
I have some other pictures. I don't know where they are, but of the actual Robojackets, our office and stuff like that. But this is just a picture of a form I was made. This was like when we were learning how to use the vacuum former for what I was doing, and this was just on the floor. So you can see I cracked my mold and the foam didn't come out. Okay, current situation in industry experience. I still own TRS, but I currently work full-time as a design engineer for a company that makes rubber parts for the automotive industry. So the silver lining to this portion of the story is that a few months ago I asked the plant manager if the company would be willing to sponsor me on a return trip to BattleBot Season 3. And he said yes. He said he and his boys enjoyed the show and would love to see a bot with ties to the company on the show. So I doubled down on designing a new BattleBot with 16 years of robot designing experience under my belt. But a return to BattleBots wouldn't be complete without Brad Gavin. So my original teammate, a return to BattleBots wouldn't be complete if Brad Gavin, my original teammate, wasn't there. So I asked him to join up, and now we're headed back, hopefully this time to win. So that's a picture of us when they had the little robot thing with all the teams. All right, so I'm gonna move to some nuggets of wisdom. So as I've grown in faith and had a chance to spend some time in the industry, I've learned a few things. I've learned that because we're engineers, everybody, including ourselves, tends to think we create solutions, specifically solutions to problems. But I've come to the conclusion that many times what we really create are just more problems. I call this theory TOPE, it's like soap with a T. Okay, theory of alternate problems. And I just made this up one day because of just through experiences and stuff. And the premise is this, that many times the solution that us engineers make may appear to solve the immediate problem, but will cause additional problems, foreseen or unforeseen, in the near or distant future. Here's one example that affects us all: processed foods. Okay, here's an excerpt from an article that I just got from a website called modernpioneermodel.com. And basically, the excerpt reads this: 1940s, with World War II raging, the 1940s saw rationing to feed fighting soldiers. After the war, many new convenience foods were introduced: dehydrated juice, instant coffee, cake mix, the result of military research. Adding to convenience in the kitchen, Tupperware, Reynolds Wrap, aluminum foil were introduced. The first Dairy Queen and McDonald's fast food restaurants opened. We're talking about the 1940s. And on the opposite end of the culinary spectrum, James Beard's first cookbook was published. Farmers used fertilization and irrigation to increase crop yields, decreasing the vitamins and minerals in those plants. Government subsidies for corn and soy led to a food industry with a financial incentive to use high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, modifying cornstarch, etc. To produce lots of highly processed, unhealthy foods, the U.S. issued guidelines for adding iron, vitamin B, thiamine, and riboflavin to bread and other grain products to offset the nutrient deficiency. Okay, so what we see here are a number of things. The promise of modern technology making our jobs, in this case cooking, easier. Technology for the support of the war being introduced to the civilian population with the promise of added convenience. You see the attempt to add necessary vitamins to nutrient deficient foods, and that's man-modified nutrient deficient foods. So my point here is this: mankind has this notion that we constantly need to be making things better when many things were fine the way they were created. Because man's knowledge is finite, we cannot perfectly predict the outcomes of our innovations. Now the outcomes of our solutions are not always bad per se, but we need to acknowledge that there will always be effects. Some may directly affect you and your family, and some may affect people on the other side of the globe. You may never know. So with this being said, as engineers should use caution, and as we design and dream up solutions to problems. Also realize that what you may be making easier for yourself may be a disaster for the generation after you. That's a little negative wisdom there. Some other examples that come to mind are water-saving toilets. Now this happened. You'll see. The idea is that by not using as much water when you flush, you will ultimately conserve water, which is sound, right? That makes sense, right? You don't use as much water, you're not going to waste as much water. That's fine when you urinate. I'm going to get biological on you guys, so I hope you don't get uncomfortable. Okay. But let's say you have a bowel movement. If there's residue left, or if there's residue after you flush the first time, you must flush the second time. Did you save any water? Okay. This may not be important to you now in college, but wait till you're living with someone. Really, to be honest, there's so many examples where this theory can be applied. Another example is the coach of the Patriots, Bill Belichick. I read this the other day on Engadget. And the Microsoft Surface. Microsoft has supplied the NFL with tablets for use on the sidelines. Well, the coach now has decided he'd rather go back to writing by hand instead. His reasoning is that it is more trouble than it's worth due to inconsistency of operation of the device and its supporting components. They have Wi-Fi, they have a whole lot of issues. It's a big production on NFL, so I mean, if you're trying to run a play or something and you're having a problem with this, you're going to throw it, and that's what he did. Now, in time, some, if not all, the kinks in the system will be ironed out so that reliable performance will be possible on the sidelines. But one must wonder what other problems may be created by the implemented solutions. So am I against engineering innovation? No. Am I for knowing that whatever solutions I implement have consequences? Yes. Another thing that I've learned is that if it can happen, it will happen. Given enough time and opportunity. Where I work, we deal with hundreds of thousands of parts. So we have automated equipment. We make spark plug boots for every engine, for a whole lot of engines. So if you have a part on an assembly machine that you suspect might fail, it will. They work 24 hours where I work. They run the machines overnight. And I made a mistake the other day. I made an adapter or something to try to contain some trash. It was some debris that was coming from the part. And it wasn't secured on the machine really all that well. It was just it was there, and as long as you didn't touch it, it was fine. So I left, went home for the day, came back the next day, and they're having some quality problems with some parts. The machine is drilling holes in the side of the part, and they're like, why is it doing that? And so I look at it, and I think about it, and I've done this a couple times, and I realized, ask myself, well, what changed? Because if it was working fine the day before, and now it's not working, something changed, something happened. So I thought about it. Well, the only change happened was when I put the part on, and it turned out what happened hit my part and misaligned some stuff. So I say that to say, if it can happen, it will happen. I didn't go to the thing. That was him. All right, in closing, I'd like to say, Robojackets was started to give people who are passionate about creating things an avenue to express themselves, sharpen and learn new skills, and hopefully make the world a better place through teaching and mentorship. Over the years, I've had an opportunity to watch this organization grow into what it is today, and I'm ecstatic about your progress. I hope many of you will join the ranks of those who've gone before you to accomplish great things. I also hope that through this talk, you'll be reminded to engineer responsibility. Engineer responsibly. Yeah, and then I said thank you. That's it as far as that portion. Is there any questions or anything I figured I'll open up the floor? Go right in.
we're kind of building a robot for BattleBot Season 3.
Right, yeah. Actually, the way I even got back, I mean, every now and then I poke my head back into Robojackets. And actually, I contacted, okay, what's your name? Ryan. There's other, there's two Ryans, right? Yeah, there is. Hey, Ryan. So I wound up contacting Ryan about sponsoring me or collaborative work to go back to BattleBot. So that's kind of how I wound up coming back. And like I said, I poke my head in every now and then just to see how things are going, and just because. So yeah, so I know, and actually, I told him that once I get my bot ready, and once you guys have your bot ready, I'd love to spar. I think it'd be good. I mean, I think it'd be good for both of us.
Have to beat the pool noodle first.
Huh?
Have to beat a pool noodle first.
Oh. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What's something that you wish you knew moving into the years right after coming out of school in the industry that you know now? Like just something that looking back you're like, hey, I wish I knew that moving into my first job or my second job, you know?
One thing that I kind of said to myself, because you're familiar with DARPA, you're familiar with Boston Dynamics, and all the other. Well, a lot of those things, a lot of those projects were done in like grad school. Grad student. So one thing when I graduated, I was ready to go. And I didn't want to go back to grad school or anything like that. But I kind of wish maybe I had reconsidered maybe. Because in undergrad, I wanted to do more robot stuff. Of course, you guys have access to it now, but when we were doing it, like there was a picture of me in the machine shop. That was where the machine mall is in MRDC. That used to be a hallway. And it was just, the machine shop was on the left, and so that was us in there. We weren't actually supposed to be in there necessarily. We just got permission. I don't even know how Brad worked it out. I don't know how we got permission. So we were in there, messing around. I cut myself once, but.
Injury-free organization.
Yeah. Anyways, to answer your question, grad school, I would have thought about it a little bit more to maybe hopefully got into like a project like those Boston Dynamic projects and some of those other cool things. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So, obviously, it's been a while since you were like in the organization and all. So, what would you say is an achievement or milestone or modification that we've made that you are like the most happy about? What do you think is like the greatest thing that we've evolved on in your organization?
I don't know if there's one single thing. I think the fact that you have pretty much everything that was on that first PowerPoint. I mean, you guys do outreaches. I mean, you do BattleBots, or you have all the other ones. I know last time I was hanging out with some people. They were doing IGBC. I had a picture of. I don't think I put it in the PowerPoint, but it was one of the guys with the all IGBC robots. But I mean, I guess really just the fact that you created an environment for people like me. If this had been here when I was here, I might be even further along. So you have this group of people who like to do the same stuff, and you can get your hands wet on it, especially the machining aspect. And of course, you got programmers, which I need programmers. Yeah, there we go. I like mechatronics, all that stuff. But the hands-on part of it, the fact that you guys produce a way to do that, I would like to see more ladies. I'd like to see more. Maybe more diversity, more income, but I guess this is just your tech. I mean, there's been what I would like to see. What I would like to say, and I don't know if you guys have been doing it or not. I've looked at the wiki page, and it's kind of it needs to be. I'm going to go in and update some of it. But I mean, you should. But the thing is, what I want to say is, keeping track of some of the guys who've been in the organization. I don't know if you guys have any kind of spreadsheet or something of people, but there's a lot of people. There's guys, Philip Marks works at NASA. I don't know if you know Stephen Posley. I don't know where he works now, but he's done. Somebody said United Sciences is where he works. So he's. I'm not sure if he's got a patent. Lavino Perucci, I know he just got a patent. You got Jeremy and Javon Roberts. You got Daniel Bowen, which he and I worked together a little bit. Not as a job and on my own company and stuff. He's got two things. Who knows what the couple smartwatch is, right? You might know what the couple smartwatch is. Okay, he has a charger for it, a charging dock. I forgot what it's called, but he's telling that it's a successful Kickstarter. He also has another, it's called a focus shifter. It's a shifting mechanism for cameras. So I mean, there's a lot of people who've gone through Robojackets who are doing things now. So it'd be nice to have, for you guys to keep up, or be able to keep that, or have that resource and say, oh, okay, I graduate, I can look, oh, this person was in Robojackets, blah, blah, blah. Any other questions? Thoughts, comments? I know you guys have an agenda, we got some other time. If there's time afterwards, I have some videos of some of my robots or whatever. You guys are more than welcome to see them if you want to after, if you want to see them now or you want to see them. They're not really long, but I know we got other things to do.
Let's do team updates, and then anyone who wants to stick around, we can.
Okay.
Technically, the room reservation ends at 8, but no one will make it out.
Thank you guys.